Welcome to another digital deep dive where I'm going to be talking about a new solution we're offering called Accessibility on Demand. This ties into the new requirements starting in April of this year, 2026, related to web content and accessibility guidelines, otherwise known as WCAG or WCAG. So this is a tool that very quickly, cost effectively can convert your PDFs into an accessible format, and it's on demand. It's a tool where you can use it, you quickly do it. It's a credit system. I'm going to show you a little demo of this application, but it all ties into having accessible PDFs based on the rules passed down by the DOJ related to the ADA rules. So sit tight, watch the video, see how this tool could work for you, and enjoy. Okay, so we're gonna dive into accessibility on demand and just accessibility in general and why this tool is here. So what's the big deal about accessibility? Well, the Department of Justice with the ADA Title II is saying that all web content must be accessible based on the Web Content and Accessibility Guidelines, also called WCAG or WCAG. And that's level 2.1 AA. So the material you have on your website, like PDFs and whatnot, documents like that, they need to be accessible to sight impaired folks so that they can still utilize and access the data and be able to use that information. Because if it's not accessible, then they won't be able to have like a PDF reader read the documents to them and they can't use the information. So all public documents published or created by the organization. This really mostly refers to, or this mostly applies to public organizations that serve citizens like county, state, city governments and whatnot. So the deadlines approaching are determined by the population size, basically the number of folks that an organization serves, like a county government, city government. So if you're a county or a city or a state, of course all states have more than 50,000 people. Let's say you're a county that has 50,000 or more people and you work in the recorder's office, something like that. Your deadline to have your documents accessible is April of this year, 2026. Let's say you're a small county or city that has fewer than 50,000 people. Your deadline is April 2027, but that doesn't mean you should really wait. It's better to get ahead of it than wait till the last minute and try to rush at the end. So even if you have fewer than 50,000 people that you serve, probably better to look into this now. So the repercussions of non-compliance are lawsuits. There are already lawsuits that have happened because this has been going on in the federal space for a while, but now it's being applied to the city or the state and local level. Or you could have withheld state and federal funding. Don't want that to happen. So what are the challenges of accessibility? You have many steps, many manual steps. This is just a high level what it takes to make a document accessible. You have to prep and proof the optical character recognition, basically the text in the background of the PDF. There's the tag structure and the metadata that we'll see in this tool, Accessibility on Demand, later. You have to set the reading order. So not only do you tag and set the structure, you have to set the reading order of the document. You have to write the alternative text, describes images, graphs, things of that sort. Fixing tables and forms, and then validating and retesting. There's hundreds of person hours to create accessible PDFs. It takes a long time and is expensive. So it's slow, expensive, and not scalable. If you have thousands of PDFs you want to do, it's going to take a long time and a lot of labor and expense for your organization to do that yourselves. The general rule of thumb that it takes about 30 minutes per PDF page to make it accessible, kind of minimum. So if you have thousands of pages, that is a long time to make a document accessible. You could reach out to an organization that does this. There have been companies that have done this and tools that have done this, but it's expensive. So Accessibility on Demand, the tool we're going to show you, kind of changes the paradigm. It's quick, inexpensive, and do it yourself. Very easy to get your PDFs accessible. But right now, that's not, or previous to this, that was not really, there weren't really a lot of good options. So there are 3 levels in Accessibility on Demand, sort of the general accessibility world, and level 1 is standard. You're costing about 10 to 15 bucks a page. Enhanced, so if you have more graphs, tables, images, things like that, you would want this level 2. That would have cost you $15 to $100. And then expert, like getting forms prepared and whatnot, $100 a page. Super expensive, or you're doing it yourself and it's taking a lot of time and you're paying the people to do it and it's taking a long time. It's expensive either way. Instead, what I'm going to show you right now is Accessibility on Demand. I'm just going to call it AOD. Quick demo of this. So switch into my demo page here. So this is Accessibility on Demand. This is AOD. This is the portal that you would access. If you got an account through us, this is what you'd be looking at. So it's a very simple structure, shows the credits up at the page, there's some count information. I'm basically gonna stick to creating the accessible documents, not go into a lot of the back end user management and whatnot. But you have your credits up here, it's a credit system. I'll talk about that a bit later. And here's some documents that I've actually run already, but I'm gonna load one here and let it run while I describe some other pieces of information so you can see how quickly a document can be processed. So what I'm gonna do is create a batch. It's based on batches. So creating a batch, you could have 1 PDF, you could have 50 PDFs, whatever you want, you create a batch. Maybe it's you do it by the day. If your department's constantly making accessible documents, maybe you do a batch per day and call it, February 17th, 2026. That's this batch. And then tomorrow, the next batch is the next day. But it's really whatever you want to do. And I'm going to take one of these documents here. So I'm just going to call it, let's see, DDD, Digital Deep Dive, DOD test file, test batch, let's say. That's the batch description. I'm going to take this file. And it's a 3-page PDF, and actually it says right here 3 pages. If I loaded 2 or 3 PDFs, they'd each be listed here, how many pages, and I could remove them if I wanted. If I go, oh, I loaded a file by mistake, I don't want that. But in this case, I have that one PDF, I'm gonna load it. So I'm gonna create the batch, do a quick little processing here. And now I have my batch. So status is grayed out because I haven't run it yet. You can see all these other ones, they're green because they were already ran. So in this case, I'm gonna select the batch because it's just one document, and I can actually set the level of compliance within AOD at the batch level. So let's say I want level 1. And if I had multiple files, I could even change it on the individual files. But I'm gonna leave it at level 1 for this file. Now, within AOD, you have 3 levels. Level 1, standard, 2, enhanced, and 3, expert. Level 1 is great for text files. All of them comply with WCAG 2.1, level 2A. But within the tool, it just gives you different options of how much computing power do you want to put towards it. So yeah, level 1 is great for text files. Level 2 is if you have a lot of imagery, graphs, tables, things like that. You want a little more description. That's going to be great, level 2. Level 3 is expert review. Basically, humans are checking it and reviewing it. Really, I'd leave that alone except for if you have fillable forms, like a PDF form on your website that you want people to be able to download and fill out, then you need level 3 to keep it as a live form. If you run it at level 1 or 2, that form will become a static document. So you would want the expert review level 3 for forms. But in this case, I'm gonna run level 1, and that will cost me 1 credit for that per page. So it's gonna be 3 credits total. And I'll describe more of the credit system a little later. So I'm gonna select here, level 1, great. Now make accessible. So here it describes again, here are your levels, tells you how many credits per page. I have this one document, I'm selecting level 1, so it's saying it's gonna cost me 3 credits. I have this many credits available. If I change it to level 2, it would say you have 18 credits that are gonna cost you for this 3-page document because it's 6 credits per page times 3 pages is 18 credits. But I'm gonna leave it at level 1. And then I just make accessible. So that's gonna start churning, and then you'll see on screen it's gonna start running. And once this closes, I'm gonna show you a different example while we're waiting for this. It's only gonna take about a minute or so. But a great comparison of level 1 and 2 is with imagery. I'm gonna show you an infographic that I loaded before. So I have 2 batches here. One at the same document, one I did at level 1, and one I did at level 2. So I'm gonna show you level 1 and review the document. Oh, sorry, I gotta unselect this one. So I'm gonna review this infographic. Just a BMI infographic about microfilm. You see there's basic infographic, single page PDF. We'll talk about tag structuring later. I'm not gonna dive into that here. What I wanna show you though is just this illustration tag. So I captured this image and very nice description. Illustration of film reels, clock inside a gear, some boxes. That's descriptive enough, very simple. But when you go to level 2, which is down here, unselect this level 1 batch and select the level 2 batch, review that. Same PDF, same image, but when I go to this figure, it's a much more descriptive description of that image. So the other one said some gears, some microfilm reels, some boxes, pretty much, yeah, that describes it. If I'm sight impaired, I can't see it, describes it, sure. This is a much deeper description. So you see it's just more descriptive, more computing power went to level 2, so it costs more, but for graphs, images, tables, that may be what you want. That's where level 2 comes in very well for this AOD tool. All right, this document is now done. That was what, a minute? 3-page PDF, done. It's now accessible, it's compliant in about a minute. Pretty incredible. So let's go take a look at this. So I have it completed here. That green check mark means it's completed. Now what I can do is also run an accessibility score. So I'm going to click that to start running it. It's going to generate the score for this particular document. The reason the score is run separately, why you have to click that button separately, is because Netra Labs is a company that created Accessibility on Demand. They decoupled the running of the actual conversion to create an accessible document and the compliance score just so the conversion could run more quickly and not be tied to running the document through a conversion to accessible and then also waiting for that accessibility score. So basically they're separate. So when you're ready, you just click the accessibility score to create it. Oh, there it is. So 97.77% compliant against WCAG 2.1. Then you also have PDF UA over here, another compliance guideline. But we're interested right now in the WCAG. So 97%, you're thinking, why isn't it 100? Well, because a lot of the compliance guidelines don't necessarily mean the document's not compliant or not accessible. It's just based on checkers and some check in different areas. But this is basically 98% compliant with WCAG. And then you can see here you have the 4 guidelines from WCAG. POUR, P-O-U-R, perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. Now if I wanted to download this, I'd actually get a nice report like this. It says, there's my score, certified by AOD. This is where the checks were, how many checks were run, how many flags, how many passes, how many exceptions. It's great for compliance and auditing in case someone says, well, is this document really, are you sure it's compliant? Yes, here's my report that says what was checked and what score it received. So let's go into the actual document and take a look at the structuring. All right, 3-page document, 3-page PDF. So 1, 2, 3, easy enough. You have the checker over here. We'll get to about how it shows you where items are that were flagged. But on the actual properties, I'm going to open page 1. And it's basically tagging and structuring the entire document. This was a non-accessible PDF. There was no structuring, no tagging. All of this structuring, all this tagging was done, all this metadata in that roughly minute time frame. So this was not here before. AOD did this on its own in about a minute. So you have your H1, heading 1, and then the text within the heading, paragraph tags, and then each text line from that paragraph. This is considered a table here. AOD said, hey, we got a table. So it's saying this big chunk is a table, and then you have individual table rows. That row right there. Then there's another row right there. Within that row, you have table data, different little sections within that row. So you have a table, you have 4 table rows, and then within each table row, you have the table data and the individual lines. So it's that level of detail that AOD is processing. Let's go find down here. Here's an image. So this is level 1, remember. It says law enforcement accreditation emblem. There's an eagle, laurel wreath, some bold text. Yeah, that's exactly right. It's not saying, hey, there's an image of a bird in a circle. That's pretty descriptive for level 1. If it was level 2, you'd probably have even more detail. Maybe not necessary, but just an example. And this little button here, I can play that, and this is the sound that folks will hear when they have a PDF reader. They'll be able to, this is what it'll sound like.
Law enforcement accreditation emblem featuring eagle, laurel wreath, and bold text in black and white design.
So that's the point of all this, is they're not going to be able to see, so they're going to have something read to them. So this text is what will be read to them on their PDF tool or their document tool that allows something to be read to them. I'm going to go to another page. Here's a good example of another type of tag, this list. So AOD said, hey, I think this is a list. It is. You got part 4 types of operation, A through N. So not only is it saying this big chunk is a list, but the individual list items. So this section A is a list item. The label for that list item is A. If I went to the next one, the label for the next list item is B, and then you have the list body. So this is all part of metadata and tagging and structuring a document. And this was all done in under a minute with this tool. And if I'm doing level 1, again, I'll get the credits more a bit later, but it's 30 cents per credit and this was 3 credits. This cost less than $1 to make this 3-page PDF, this level of accessibility. Pretty incredible. Now another thing is, let's say there's this part 3 emergency contacts. I'm on page, let's open that up. So we have part 4 types of operation. Here's this text part 3. Let's say I thought that was an H2. What I can actually do is add a tag here, select this. I'm gonna say, no, I think that's an H2. I'm gonna call that part 3 and save it. So now I actually have an H2 that I can put above this paragraph. I can kind of move it around wherever I want. Say, no, that's an H2. And it's gonna read what I type. So you have the ability to actually add tags, delete tags, or edit some of the tags if you feel like you can make it better, it needs to be adjusted a bit. Now, of course, AOD did a great job, but it gives you that ability. Let's say I said, nah, no, I really don't want that. Delete the tag, it's done. Now that checker over here, based on, here's the WCAG checker, this is the PDF UA one. Let's say I want to see, well, what robust items were flagged? Okay, takes me to this section to say, hey, this is possibly not the right use of a note structure element. Is that affecting the actual accessibility of the document? No. It's saying this might be an issue. I would say, no, it's not, it's fine, not a big deal. Now, I can't change the original document, that's the thing. You can tag and structure it all you want, but the original document is the original document. One of the big items that comes up is contrast. There's a certain ratio of contrast, and if that gets flagged, well, I can't change the original document. So a lot of these flags and exceptions may not actually be something that affects accessibility. All right, so I'm going to close out of here. Actually, no, yeah. So I don't want to save the changes I made, that's fine. So that's it in a nutshell. You're using this tool. What I'm showing you is how you would use it. You have credits, you throw a document in there. It can be one PDF, it can be multiple PDFs, you create batches, you run it, and it takes minutes to do what it used to take hours, days, weeks. It's an incredible tool, and that level of detail that I showed you is what you'll get. That's what it's doing on its own. I'm not doing extra tagging. That document is not pre-prepped. It was a non-accessible PDF, and AOD assigned that tagging and assigned that metadata structure. Now I'm going to switch back to the presentation here, and this is kind of an overview of what you get with the different levels. The big nut here is level 1, great for text. It's the cheapest, it's 30 cents a credit, or excuse me, 1 credit per page, and if you have mostly text, that should be fine. So I ran this at level 1. It came out at basically 98%. So it's not like, yeah, we say you'll get 90+%, but this came out at 98% compliant on level 1. That's fantastic. So you're getting more than we're even really describing. Great for text. Level 2, graphs, images, tables. That's going to be more descriptive, alternative text, more contextual. So it's going to be better for those types of documents. And again, level 3 is the expert review, where it actually goes to a human will review it. You really want to leave that for live form. So if you need a form, but you need it accessible, that's what you use that level 3 for, because if you do level 1 or 2, it's going to become a static form. So you want to use level 3 to keep it as a live active form. That's 40 credits per page. And also with level 3, I'm going to go back again. Something with level 3, if I wanted to make a document accessible, let's do this. Let's do create a batch. I'm just going to take the same one just for L3 test. L3 test. Create batch. Something that you cannot do in the tool at the moment is make it level 3, kind of do it yourself. So if you see this, I'm going to say make accessible. I can select 1 or 2. I cannot select level 3 because that's going to require us basically setting up like an FTP account where you give us the documents and then we process them on the back end with the human review and then send them back to you. So you can't do level 3 within the tool. It's something that you'd have to send to us and we process for you. Level 1 and 2 are in the tool. All right. Okay, so how much does it cost? 30 cents a credit. So it's not a system where you run the tool and then you pay after. You basically buy credits first and then use them up. So if you wanted to buy 50,000 credits, you'd buy 50,000 credits times 30 cents. We process them, load them to your account. Let's say you have a bunch of documents and you want to start with 5,000 PDF pages. What you do is You go in there, create your batches, process the PDFs. Let's say you chose level 2 for all of them. That's 6 credits per page. That's 30,000 credits. You process all those in a week. Now you have those 50,000 credits minus the 30,000 you used, and you have 20,000 credits remaining. So that's how it works. It's that credit system. You buy them up front, and then as you use them up, if you need more, you let us know, we process more. And that's really the gist of it. It's a very simple tool, very cost effective, so easy to use, do it yourself. It's simple, it's fast, and you can get your PDFs converted into an accessible format very quickly. All right, again, wrapping up, that was Accessibility on Demand. A very simple tool, very cost effective. You don't have to spend more than you need to and doing more work than you need to with this simple on-demand tool. It's in the name, Accessibility on Demand. You make the PDFs accessible when you need them and how you need them based on your compliance levels that your organization wants to do. So if you want to learn more about Accessibility on Demand, go ahead and contact us. We can talk about pricing, we can do a demo, we can get you possibly set up on a demo account and get you accessible PDFs.